Next, we're going to move on to the volumes of pyramids and cones. The formula for the volume of a pyramid is 1/3 the base times the height. Notice it's big B here. That capital B means we need the area of the base, or the area of the shaded area that I've just colored in blue. The height, you'll remember, is the height of the object. We're not looking for a slant height. We're looking for the height of the pyramid, which always meets the base at a right angle. Since there's a right angle here, we know that this black line represents the height of the object. Let's try a problem with this formula. The formula again is 1/3 base height. You'll notice from this picture I don't have the height. I also don't have any easy way to actually calculate this value for this height. What I'm actually going to need to do is I'm going to calculate this blue slant height and use that to get my actual height of my object. So I have to get the slant height first, and then I'll get the actual height of the object. To get the slant height then, I simply create the slant height, and since we have an isosceles pyramid here, we know that we can create this to be a base of 2 and 2, which makes it very nice for doing the Pythagorean theorem. To do that, we will simply do a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Working that out, I subtract the 4 to get x squared equals 96. Now again, I need x, and I know x squared right now, so I simply take the square root of x squared and 96. Break down 96 into a simplified square would give me 16 times 6, or root 16 times 6. And simplifying that one more time, I would get 4 root 6, which we'll notice I've added as the height of our shape, 4 root 6, and the height over here as well. So those are both of our slant heights of our triangular side or triangular face of the pyramid. We're now going to use that to get the actual height of the object. Here you're going to notice I've created another right triangle. I've expanded it out to the right hand side, but the shape is there. So now that I have the hypotenuse of this right triangle, I also know that the base is 1 because it's half of my side. I can do my calculations. I want to find h. I'm going to use the Pythagorean theorem again. H squared plus 1 squared equals 4 root 6 squared. Working that out, I have h squared plus 1 because 1 squared is 1. 4 root 6 times 4 root 6 gives me 16 root 6, or 16 times 6. 4 times 4 is 16. Root 6 times root 6 is 6. So there's where my 16 times 6 comes from. Multiply that together, you get 96. And finally move the 1 across and take the square root to find out that the height, h, of our actual pyramid is the square root of 95. We now know all of the measurements we need in order to find the volume. As you'll remember, the volume of a pyramid is the area of the base times the height. We did those calculations simply to find the value of h, which is the height of our pyramid. We need to use slant height. We do not need to use slant height here. We need to use height in our formula. Getting back to our formula, it's 1/3 base height. Our base is the 2 times the 4 because it is a rectangular pyramid. 1/3 times 4 times 2 times the square root of 95 would give us 25.99 feet cubed. We found the volume of our rectangular pyramid. Now we want to find the volume of the cone. Volume of the cone, the formula is very familiar, very similar. It's 1/3 pi r squared, which would be area of the base. We have the exact same formula if you look at it, because pi r squared would be the area of my circle that's on the base. So it's 1/3 base height, again, but we know that the area of a circle is pi r squared, so instead of putting the big B in there, we simply just use the h, which we need to find. So here we go. Here's our information that we're given. We want to find the volume of the cone. It has a slant height of 18 and an angle of 60 degrees. Using this information, we'll notice that we have a 30, 60, 90 triangle. That means that we can simply just use 30, 60, 90 to find that the value of n would be 9, and the value of n root 3 would be 9 root 3. Those are both very helpful because now we have enough information that we can actually calculate the volume of the cone. I'll go back here just for a second. The radius, n, goes right here. And the height, 9 root 3, is going to go right here. You'll notice that on the next page. So we have 9 root 3 for a height and 9 for a radius. Simply plug this into your formula. Our height is 9 root 3, and our radius is 9. Simplifying this, we get 81 when we do 9 squared, and now we can simply just take the 1/3 times the 81 times the 9. Multiplication, as you remember, can happen in any order as long as it is all multiplication. Simplifying that, 1/3 times 81 times 9 gives me 243 pi root 3. This would be called your exact answer. If you want an estimated answer, you simply just plug that into your calculator and you would get 1,322.26 feet cubed for the volume of that cone. If you had a cylinder with radius 9, like we see right here, and a height of 9 root 3, we would have done the exact same calculation, we just wouldn't have done the 1/3, because the cone in the cylinder, which would be the same height and same radius, have the relationship that the cone is 1/3 of the cylinder. That's the end of today's lesson. If you have any questions on anything in the lesson, please let me know.